Today on the DCI Reporter, starting next year, the city wants to charge you more to stay fit. Learn about the fitness tax. DC celebrated another successful Pride Month. We visit Wilson High School where the celebration received some unwelcome guests. The end of spring brings all the graduations. We visit one special graduation class, the Carlos Rosario class of 2014. The DC Federation of Democratic Women hosts all the Democratic women nominees at the DNC. We'll hear what they had to say. And in our Places and People segment, we'll visit with U.S. Senator Paul Strauss. This is the DCI Reporter. Welcome to the DCI Reporter. My name is Franklin Garcia. You can watch us online at dctv.org or DCiReporter.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at DCiReporter. The DC Council has approved a 5.75% tax on gym and fitness club membership. Many in the industry are upset and believe the city is going in the wrong direction. The city has decided to impose a 5.75% sales tax on food service industries previously exempted. The $5 million this tax expects to generate yearly would be used in part to offset a package of tax cuts that will leave as much as $143 million a year in taxpayers' pocket. A service industry that will be hit with this tax is the fitness industry. This means that starting next year, you may end up paying more to stay fit.
This is a tax on the YMCA just as much as it's a tax on like the top yoga studio in town that's really expensive or something.
And for somebody
it's all across the board. You don't want to work out in your garage or run down the street, which, oh, by the way, it's 100 degrees for 3 months of the year in DC. Like, if you want to go inside to work out, you've got to get taxed on it.
And for somebody who's
equipment that it takes,
right,
and for someone who's new to the city who's pinching pennies because they just got out of grad school and have $500 monthly payments on student loans, any increase in cost is unbearable.
But many in the industry are upset and believe that there is a misconception that those that use yoga studios and fitness clubs have a lot of disposable income.
I think part of it for me is I think there's some misunderstanding about what this yoga and fitness, and I know a lot of people think it's these, rich people coming out wearing Lululemon pants and drinking lattes, and they've got all this disposable income in the world to just spend on yoga, and it's not like that. And there are a few yoga studios here that are just breaking it in, it's true, but most of the yoga teachers, including myself, are not.
DC Chairman Mendelsohn was the loudest voice in support of the tax.
So it was not about raising the revenue, but it was about expanding the base so that the base for our sales tax is stronger. And in the long run, that's important. The Tax Revision Commission recommended 8 services. What we adopted in the package was 6 services. The 2 that we did not adopt were barber shops and beauty salons, that's one, and home construction, that's the other. I saw that with regard to those services, they more exclusively, if that could be a term, affected residents than the other services. There are a large number of commuters who come into town who buy various goods and services in the district, like restaurants, and I dare say that there are a fair number of commuters who have, during the day, healthcare memberships.
Leading to the crucial vote, many lobbied members of the DC Council to try to stop this tax. Their efforts were not successful, and starting next year, people may see their gym membership prices increase. Washington, D.C. celebrated a successful Capitol Pride celebration, and one local high school got some national attention. On its 39th year, Capitol Pride, celebrated in the month of June, is an annual event celebrating the spirit and strength in the LGBT community in Washington, D.C. The event brings together national and local LGBT organizations with more than 50 diverse education and entertainment events. The highlights include a street festival and a parade that are open to the public. Many throughout the region joined in the long months celebration. One high school, Wilson High School in Northwest Washington, has started hosting an LGBTQ Pride Day celebration. This year, hundreds of students were treated to an unexpected announcement from the school's principal at the LGBTQ Pride Day celebration. Principal Peter Cahill announced that he was gay. But the city also received members of the Kansas-based Westboro Baptist Church who showed up in the early morning of June 9th to protest the high school.
To read and write and do math and other educational things. Not talk about their sexuality or celebrate their sexuality. And for God's sake, not have some government pride week fest blah blah crap going on. That's not what they're paid to do. They're paid to teach the children.
And so we are here to teach them that what their parents said was wrong and that they should be doing this and fearing God and obeying God every day.
The small crowd met a much larger counter-protest group made up of high school students and many others who joined them. The Westboro Baptist Church is an unaffiliated Baptist church known for its extreme ideologies, especially those against gay people. The church has about 40 members. For over 30 years, the Carlos Rosario International Public Charter School has been training and educating the immigrant community in Washington, D.C. In this next segment, we'll look at their 2014 graduation. On June 19th, over 300 students graduated from the Carlos Rosario International Public Charter School. The Carlos Rosario International Public Charter School issued graduating certificates and diplomas to students in the culinary arts, technology, nursing, English, GED, and other disciplines. President and founder Sonia Gutierrez welcomed the graduates at the ceremony.
Thank you, Alison. Distinguished guests, faculty and staff members, my dear students, good evening, and welcome to our 42nd annual graduation ceremony. This is a special year as students from the Harvard campus and the new campus, Sonia Gutierrez campus, are together receiving their diplomas. So a special welcome to the Harvard campus to Dr. Jorge Delgado, his faculty, staff, and all the students from Sonia Gutierrez.
DC Councilmember Gene Graham, who was being honored at the graduation ceremony for all his contributions to the school over the years, also attended the ceremony.
Buenas tardes. Mis amigos y amigas. Es un gran placer estar aquí con ustedes. Tarde celebrando este día muy especial, tu graduación. Felicidades a todos. As many of you know, I have just very few words in Amharic. But they are some of my very, very favorite words ever. And I always say this because it's so important to me. Xavier Amezgan, amen, amen. That means all praise to God.
And chairman of the board, Berto Gomez, who is undergoing a heart transplant, also attended.
We may have come in different boats. We are in the same ship. We share this community. We share what it means to all of us. We share soccer. Football is actually what he was asking for. Football, because we play with the foot, and it is a ball. And soccer, the word is to differentiate it from one that is not a ball, but is an egg. Looks like an egg. You kick it, and it may go different sides, but we have the right ball, and we have the right things to do with the World Cup. And by talking about a winner today, Colombia advanced.
Over the years, the Carlos Rosario School has impacted the lives of more than 60,000 students, most of them immigrants.
It's amazing, I feel it's one more step in my life. And now I have to think about, what's the next move. And I'm very, very, very grateful with Rosario School for all the support and for not just me, but a lot of people here in this building, and they have been successful with the GED.
The Carlos Rosario School has 2 locations and serves 2,500 students per year. It has acclaimed programs in culinary arts and nursing, as well as strong GED and citizenship programs. The school has been named a national model for excellence in adult education by the U.S. Department of Education. The D.C. Federation of Democratic Women held an event in support of Democratic women nominee for the November general election. The event was held at the DNC headquarters here in Washington, D.C. On June 28th, local and some national women joined the D.C. Federation of Democratic Women organization at the DNC to boost support for Democratic women nominee that will be on the ballot on November 4th.
Women power. We can make it happen. We will make it happen. We have some of the greatest influence over the voting population than anyone else because we are women, right? We have influence over ourselves. We have influence over our significant others, over our children. So we want to make sure is that when the last vote is counted on November 4th, that we have Alderman Norton, Bowser, Anita Barton, Murray Shea, and Brenda Doe.
The Democratic women's ticket for November are Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton, mayoral candidate Muriel Bowser, at-large D.C. Council member Anita Bonds, Ward 3 D.C. Council member Mary Che, and Ward 1 Democratic nominee to the D.C. Council, Brianne Nadeau.
We're going to build the infrastructure of the future of the District of Columbia, and we're going to identify the funds and timelines to do exactly that. You will hear me talk a lot about what is going to really be needed. $1 billion for Metro, $1 billion for affordable housing, $3 billion for Pepco, $1 billion for streetcars. And the list, it goes on to a few other billions of dollars. And we have to make sure that we have the funding mechanisms and support to get that job done. Otherwise, some of you drive on Georgia Avenue, 16th Street, ride the Metro. Okay, it's kind of crowded, right?
Yes.
So imagine 150,000 more people. So the next mayor has to be committed to making sure that we're building the infrastructure that will allow us to sustain our future. You'll hear me talk about the middle class all the time, and Anita, you're going to want to listen to this one because we're going to make a commitment to what Anita Bonds put on the table. And unfortunately, it wasn't funded in the exact way that we thought. But I believe that her idea to waive property taxes for seniors.
Yes.
That's what I believe. And if that's what you believe, it matters who the mayor is. And it also matters that we elect members of the council who will be supportive of making sure seniors in the District of Columbia can age and play.
It's very important to remember that we as women have important roles, and our roles must be fulfilled as we are busy about our duties. I've had the pleasure of serving on the council now for a year and about 4 months. And I thought when I got there that there was more coalescing around issues, that we would have like a really and truly a women's agenda. And the women's agenda is the agenda for the city.
Yes.
It's about the growth, prosperity of not just us, but also the entire city. And so I was thinking that we were going to spend some time on that. But the committees are not organized like that. The committees are organized where, you have those industrial issues that you have to deal with, etc. Very little attention has been given to humankind, as I call it.
Okay. We heard from Claire Bresnahan earlier, who is another woman who has kept me going. In her role at the Women's Campaign Fund, They were the first endorsement I had as a primary candidate, and that's because they believe in supporting women early and showing that women can be viable and really giving them the tools they need. Because we have a different fight when we're out there on the campaign trail. People don't always talk about it, but we're being judged based on what we wear and what we look like and how we do our hair and what tone of our voice we have. And let me tell you, that's not going to go away just because we want it to. We just have to keep fighting back against it, and that's why I'm so pleased that organizations like the Women's Campaign Fund are out there and working with us here in DC. So thank you, Claire, for that. I grew up in a family and in a generation where girls were told they could be whatever they wanted when they grew up. And we had no reason to believe that wasn't true because we were watching women start to be all the things that we wanted to be. And that is what really colored my experience in my life. And it never occurred to me that I couldn't be the next Ward 1 council member, the first woman to hold that seat.
Since being elected in 1997, U.S. Senator Paul Strauss has been working to end taxation without representation for the District of Columbia. We're now joined by the senator who will tell us what he's doing now to help us achieve statehood for the district. Thank you for joining us, Senator Strauss.
Thank you, Franklin, and congratulations on the new show. As you know, I've been working on statehood issues for many, many years now. My latest strategy is an attempt to reach out to Hollywood celebrities and help focus attention on our movement. We're calling it 51 Stars because the goal is to literally get 51 stars from Hollywood and other areas of entertainment to help us get 51 stars on the American flag. So recently I was out in Los Angeles meeting with some of Hollywood's most influential thought leaders, and I was able to get public service announcements taped with stars like Mario Van Peebles, Evan Handler, and Alexis Cara. These public service announcements are being seen now on cable television stations across the country, various social media outlets, and of course YouTube. It's just one of the ways I and others are working to make DC the 51st state. One of the spots we have features Mario Van Peebles. He kicked off our campaign, and I think it speaks for itself.
Now, growing up, I thought taxation without representation was tyranny.
But for residents of the District of Columbia, it's reality.
And that's wrong. Every American citizen deserves equal rights.
DC residents serve in the military, pay full federal taxes, and serve our country in so many ways.
And that's why I support statehood for the District of Columbia.
If you believe every American should have equal rights, tell your senator to support DC statehood.
Do it.
Thank you for watching us. Remember, you can watch us online at dctv.org or DCiReporter.com, or follow us on Twitter at DCiReporter. I'm Franklin Garcia, and I will see you next time on the DCi Reporter.